Hello Physical Fiends, it's Jordan here with a look at all the upcoming Switch games that are import exclusives, at least as far as we currently know. Links are down below for all of them in the description and pinned comment, but as I will always say, things can change, new announcements can happen. I'm sure a couple of these will eventually get a Western release, so just keep that in mind. This is a long list, and I've talked about a good few of them plenty of times before, so I'm just going to go over each one of them very briefly as to not waste your time. This is just a quick update, okay? Rusty Rabbit is a very cheap physical release. It's going to be $23 at launch, but that's Japan for you right now, very cheap prices. This is a simple looking action platformer, but there's certainly a bit of effort put into it, and it is releasing in April. Universe for Sale is releasing in Asian regions at the end of April. This is a rather well received adventure game published by Akupara. You can always rely on those for a solid adventure game. This will also be on PlayStation 5. Progress Orders is a very cheap RPG releasing in Japan on the 10th of April. I'm a bit wary of the price for this one. Why is it so damn cheap? That has got me intrigued alone. It'll mix RPG with visual novel stuff, I would guess, and management things going on, and it will be in English like every game in this list unless otherwise stated. Sonic Wings Reunion is a brand new game in the Aero Fighter series. It's been a long time since we had a new one. Got to admit though, I know it's early in development, but I can see why they held off on a trailer for so long. It's looking pretty rough. Hopefully they spruce it up in time for release by the end of May. Shikhondo Youkai Rampage is a re-release or perhaps a slightly enhanced release of a game that was already an import exclusive. This release adds new characters to this stylish shooter, but nothing too major. It is also much more expensive than the original edition for some reason. It's releasing at the end of May. And as I said, if you want it or any of the games in this episode, please do use the links down below, as that massively helps support me and this channel, and I do thank you from the bottom of my heart. I have links for both PlayAsia and Video Games Plus where applicable. If you purchase from PlayAsia with my link, you can also use the code Jordan2025 to get 5% off. If you use the VGP link, you get free worldwide shipping on orders over 65 American bucks, and also have a chance of winning a $10 discount code in a weekly draw, the winner of which I announce every Monday. Steam Heart and Advanced Variable Geo Saturn Tribute is a game or release where English is uncertain and I would say unlikely. However, it won't be majorly necessary since it contains arcade-style Saturn games, a fighter and a shooter. Looks very enticing, I am interested. Also releasing on PS5 at the end of May. Stalker Legends of the Zone Trilogy is releasing very soon on the Switch. In another universe, this would be an essential import exclusive. Sadly, with this release, there is a massive download required in order to play these three games. So now it's more like a mild curiosity than anything really worth importing. Kemco RPG Selection Volume 9 and Volume 10 are both heading to the Switch. Volume 9 is coming real soon, while Volume 10 is pretty much just been announced and is releasing in June. Both of these have 4 JRPGs each, small, inessential, but kinda cute. Nanpure Relax and Classic Seasons Collection will offer you more Sudoku than you will ever need in your life. It's actually 7 games in one, all of them Sudoku as far as I know, and yeah, the only Sudoku game you will ever need. In fact, you'll be begging for it to end. ACA NEOGEO Selection Volume 3 and 4 are 2 more collections, each containing 10 fantastic Neo Geo games. They're both releasing in early April. They're both pretty heavy on the fighters, but also include some shooters, puzzle games, and enough variety to excite me personally. Very looking forward to these. Castlevania Anniversary Collection was done by Limited Run Games a long time ago in North America, but now Japan is getting a physical release in an absolutely gorgeous collector's edition. These are the early Castlevania games, the linear ones. Good classic action. The other collections will be coming at a later date, but this one is available to pre-order right now with the links below. I can't wait for it. Shockman Collection is another limited run release that's getting a Japanese release. These are retro games that I'd never heard of before, and I always enjoy learning about old games. They're a bit like Mega Man, but with more melee attacks, and they look good. If you missed Limited Run's pre-order window, they may be a good option. Super Technos World, River City, and Technos Arcade Classics is another collection of classic games that I can't wait to get my hands on. 12 Super Famicom games in the Kunio-kun series, as well as a few other random games, most of them in English for the first time. Usually it's the NES versions that get wheeled out time and time again, so these will be new experiences for many. I believe 2 of them will not have English, which is a shame, but 10 out of 12 ain't bad. It'll be on PS5 and Switch on April 24th. Meg's Monster is a short JRPG that's less about the gameplay and more about the story. A shortish game for the genre, and it's essentially designed to make you cry. It's releasing at the same date as the Super Technos Collection, April 24th. TriggerHeart EXELICA Enhanced does not have English, but I don't think it's essential. This is a slightly upgraded edition of TriggerHeart EXELICA. The West recently got that base version, but you're not missing too much with this enhanced version. Gameplay tweaks, more story segments, and animated intro, a bit of fluff really. Love Live, Tokimeki Roadmap to the Future, is a dating sim in the Love Live universe, which feels like a completely different universe to what I'm actually knowledgeable about. This couldn't be further from my gaming expertise, but strangely I'm looking forward to it. I think there needs to be more Tokimeki style games in English like this, with girls. Ogu and the Secret Forest is a top-down 2D adventure game that looks a bit like Zelda in its presentation, lots of puzzles to overcome, and looks absolutely adorable while doing so. Reviews are very positive for it, and it's releasing physically on Switch in Asian regions and Japan at the end of April. MotoGP 25 follows on from last year's entry by being an actual physical cartridge only in Japan. The West is getting a code in a box as far as I'm aware, so this Japanese edition is the only way to get a physical copy you can own, like properly, or sell on if need be. The Town of Nie, Iromusubi, is the fan disc to another import exclusive. It's a BL visual novel and supposedly just as good as the original, offering more of the same lovable characters. There are not many BLVNs on the Switch, at least in English, so if you're into the genre, it's one to cherish. It's releasing at the end of May. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle Destiny Remastered is an import exclusive, not a surprise from Bandai these days. This is a port of a Vita game, maybe a bit rough around the edges visually, but I'm sure the gameplay is pretty solid. How can you balls up mech action? It'll be the first time it's releasing in English as well. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time, is a surprising import exclusive. Since Switch exclusivity was abandoned, the idea of a Western physical also was abandoned. Plus Level 5 are not in a financial position to take risks, so it kinda makes sense that this will only release physically in Japan on Switch and PS5 at the end of May, and I think it will be an essential import. Fuga Melodies of Steel 1, 2, and 3 are 3 very exciting physical releases that I've been asking for absolutely ages. Spread over 3 cartridges or in a triple pack collection, you're getting some fantastic story-focused RPGs with an unusual battle system. Genuinely cannot wait for this. These are also releasing at the end of May. From Madness with Love is an Otome VN that's a bit different in its presentation, cooler, more stylish than what the West may be used to with Otomes. It gets points alone for the title referencing one of the best Bond movies, releasing at the end of May. Staffer Case, a supernatural mystery adventure, is a really solid adventure detective game. A bit like Phoenix Wright, the story is spread over 5 different cases as you find clues and use your deduction skills to uncover the criminal. Looks fantastic, reviews are good for it. It's releasing in Asian regions and Japan at the end of May. Söldner-X Complete Collection is a Play Asia exclusive. It's a double pack of indie shooters back from when, digital distribution was starting to be a thing. These are the OG indie Euro shooters, which get stick from, purist Japanese arcade shooter fans, but I'm open-minded to enjoy them. It's releasing sometime this year. Montezuma's Revenge is the other Play Asia exclusive on this list. Sadly, this is much less exciting since it's a remake of a classic game, but they've only gone and made it look bloody worse. What's up with these cheap plasticky remakes? I don't get it. Before we go further, if you're new here, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button, because if you like physical video games, doing so will be the best thing you do today, I promise you. Plus, the bigger this channel is, the more publishers will pay attention to it and maybe give more thought to giving their games physical releases, which is what we want, right? So do your bit and subscribe. I want to get to 30,000 before the end of this year. Can I do it? Help me. Little Devil Foster Mayhem is releasing very soon and only in Southeast Asia. This is a game that is very unusual for a physical. You're a kid causing chaos in a house. So based on a true story, really. I think this is a Switch exclusive game as well, releasing next week. Virtual Girl at World's End is a visual novel, a sci-fi story of some kind. The game never got previously released, so there's no opinions to go as to whether it's good or not. We'll have to see when it releases physically on the Switch in June. Cho Aniki, Bakuretsu Rantou Hen probably won't have English. Not to worry though, 16-bit homoerotic fighting is the only language one needs. Yeah, this is a Super Famicom game that I never knew existed. I don't know if it's going to be good. I mean, how can it compare to like Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo? Who knows? It's releasing on the Switch in Japan in the middle of June. Illvelo Swamp Happy Together probably won't have English either. This is a shooter, one of the few shooters where language may be useful, but nothing that having Google Translate on standby won't overcome. Expect crazy shmup fun nonsense. It's releasing in early June. Gloom Doom is short and average, like me, really. I'm not entirely sure why this is getting a physical release. It's a visual novel that most say is fine enough, but it's only a few hours long. It's releasing on Switch and PlayStation 5 in Japan at the end of May. Lunark was done by Limited Run Games a long time ago, but now Japan is getting a physical on Switch, PS4 and PS5. It's a good cinematic platformer like Another World or Prince of Persia, and it's releasing at the end of May, and it is much cheaper than buying a Western one on eBay. Cotton Reboot High Tension is a new game in the loved shooter series. I kind of anticipate a Western physical from in games, hence why I've never talked about this before, but this Japanese release may be an option to keep in mind. There's no word about languages right now, and it's releasing at the end of July. Steel Empire Chronicles is also releasing at the end of July, and this contains various versions of the classic Steel Empire, Mega Drive, Game Boy Advance, as well as the HD versions. Strictly Limited took pre-orders for this a long time ago for a European release, but will they ever send it out? Who knows? This Japanese version may be the best option for you. Shadow Corridor 1 and 2 is a double pack of horror adventure games. Seemingly pretty good, at least the second one is. They always seemed like eShop fodder for me, but reviews seem to indicate I was wrong. Both games should have English on this Japanese release. La Storia della Arcana Famiglia Rantou. I swear they named this just to make me say it embarrassingly. This is a Switch port of a game that was on the Vita, which was based on a PSP game. That's just how these things roll. It's an Otome game that's supposedly pretty good, they always are, and it's releasing in Japan at the end of July. Livestream double pack is for those who didn't already purchase these games individually, so a nice way to save a bit of money and also a bit of shelf space. What you're not going to save is your dignity. That was gone long ago, my friend, but enjoy. Hookah Haze. One day it's gonna release. I've talked about this so much in like upcoming imports videos, but it's definitely finally gonna release next week in Asia. Smoke hookah with busty babes on your deathbed. What a way to go. Quit Today is a beat 'em up that's supposedly pretty sweet. It's getting a Japanese physical release sometime this year with no date actually set as far as I can see, but it'll happen and it'll be a pretty fun time beating up your co-workers. Who doesn't want to do that? Hololive, Hollow's Hanafuda, mixes three things I have zero interest in, and yet somehow, when they're blended together, it makes it sound like the greatest game ever created. Hololive, Hanafuda, bento boxes. What else does it need? It's releasing at the end of July. Azure Striker Gunvolt Trilogy Enhanced is going to offer all three games in one package. They have been spread out over 2 releases previously, even in the West, but this Japanese triple pack has enhanced features, especially to bring the earlier 2 games up to the more recent 3rd game's level. If you like Mega Man, you need these. Arcade Paradise All-in-One Edition comes with an assumption from myself. While the base game did get a Western physical release, the fact that this upcoming Japanese edition is called the All-in-One Edition says to me that this may have all the DLC on the cartridge. Don't know for sure, but it would be really awesome if that was true. Spider Saws is a side-scrolling action game from Way Forward. Limited Run did this a couple of years back, but if you missed that and you want an affordable version on Switch, PS4 and PS5 in the middle of June, check out this Japanese edition. Rose and Camellia Collection is another limited run release, this time getting a physical release in Asia, and that will have English. I was a bit worried about the Japanese release since I don't believe the Japanese eShop version ever had English, but the Japanese release definitely will have English. A quick mention to Everafter Falls and Mizuchi, both of which already have physical releases in Asian regions, but very soon they will have physicals in Japan too. Alright, that's a lot. If you want to pre-order any of them, please do so via the links in the description. That massively helps support me and the channel. Check out more physical goodness with the videos on screen right now, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care.